used to be on, straight up hustling till the break of dawn. Taught me how to do wrong right, everything inside. But somehow things started to change. Try to get us straight up out of the game. You couldn't see what I saw. The empire was starting to fall. And everything that I said never seemed to get into your head. I tried to do the right thing, living my life with the words that I sing. Now tell me, I wanted to know what happened to my best friend. As days turn to weeks and weeks turn to years, I feel for my brother, feel for my brother. And as time passes by, I see it unsatisfied. Oh, I feel for my brother, feel for my brother. I miss you, man. You're my brother. I said I love you, babe. I won't forget you, no. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. It's time to feel life is cheap. Everything's disposable and so are we. Can you hear me? Life is real, yeah. And if there's a heaven above, please start showing a brother real love. Cause I wanna go home. Oh, I feel for my brother. I miss you, man. Oh, I feel for my brother. You're my brother. I feel for my brother. Oh, no, no. Feel for my brother. I wanna go home. I feel for my brother. I won't forget you, no. I feel for my brother. I feel for my brother. I feel, oh, I feel for my brother. I feel for my brother. Oh, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. You know, a lot of my brothers are dead or gone, but they've been hanging on the block a little too long. What can I say? I hope they live to see a brighter day. And the ones that are doing fine, God bless you, cause you're doing fine. At the end of the day, don't forget about me. As days turn to weeks, and weeks turn to years, oh, I feel for my brother. And as time passes by, I see you're not satisfied. Oh, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. The street life used to be on, straight up hustling till the break of dawn. Taught me how to do wrong right, everything inside. But somehow things started to change. Try to get us straight up out of the game. You couldn't see what I saw. The empire was starting to fall. And everything that I said never seemed to get into your head. I tried to do the right thing, living my life with the words that I sing. Now tell me, I wanted to know what happened to my best friend. As days turn to weeks and weeks turn to years, I feel for my brother, feel for my brother. And as time passes by, I say, oh, I feel for my brother. say? I hope they live to see a brighter day. And the ones that are doing fine, God bless you, cause you're doing fine. At the end of the day, don't forget about me. As days turn to weeks, and weeks turn to years, oh, I feel for my brother. And as time passes by, I see you're not satisfied. Oh, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. The street life used to be on, straight up hustling till the break of dawn. Taught me how to do wrong right, everything is tight. But somehow things started to change. Try to get us straight up out of the game. You couldn't see what I saw. The empire was starting to fall. And everything that I said never seemed to get into your head. I tried to do the right thing, living my life with the words that I sing. Now tell me, I wanted to know what happened to my best friend. As days turn to weeks, and weeks turn to years, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. And as time passes by, I see it unsatisfied. Oh, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. I miss you, man. You're my brother. I said I love you, babe. I won't forget you, no. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. Sometimes I feel life is cheap. Everything's disposable and so are we. Can you hear me? Life is real, yeah. And if there's a heaven above, please start showing a brother real love. Cause I wanna go home. Oh, I feel for my brother. I miss you, man. Oh, I feel for my brother. You're my brother. I feel for my brother. Oh, no, no. Feel for my brother. I wanna go home. I feel for my brother. I won't forget you, no. I feel for my brother. I feel for my brother. I feel. Oh, I feel for my brother. I feel for my brother. Oh, I feel for my brother.
Check. Yeah, we here.
Feel for my brother.
1NYCHA show, we in the building, y'all. Just giving y'all a chance to share.
You know, a lot of my brothers are dead or gone. But they
We here. Well, we got a big guest today. Big guest, special guest.
What can I say?
Incredible.
I hope they live to see a bright
Yeah, we
day.
working, y'all.
And the ones that are doing fine,
So I'm gonna hit the button
God bless you.
because the whole crew's in the house right now.
At the end of the day, don't forget about me. As days turn to weeks,
Here we go, y'all.
and weeks turn to years, oh, I feel for my brother.
That's not it. That's it. What's going on, y'all? Once again, welcome to the 1NYCHA show. It's your host, Rock Logic. I got Saundrea Coleman in the building. I got Stan Morse in the building. Give me Mike Tracks in there. My man Mike Jones is in the building.
1 2 1 2. We here.
I just want to make sure that y'all share, all right? Everyone get your shares on. Share it to your friends. We got a big show today. We got a special guest. It's incredible. Saundrea been working on this one for a long time.
Finally.
Once again, make sure you share. We're gonna have some fun today. We got a lot of business to talk. We got a lot of business to talk about today. We are so political right now. Word up. I see the Facebook page is populating really nicely. I see what's going on. Good to see y'all. Let me see who's in the room. I think I saw Cynthia Chapes in the room already. One. Once again, gang, make sure you share.
Share. Thank you for tuning in.
What's up, Ann Georgia? Watkins, Cynthia Tibbs, Stan Morse. Yeah, Stan. Stan's finally involved.
Yes.
That's good. Okay. All right, you know what? I'm gonna hit the button. There we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and bang.
All right.
Woo! Oh man, it is. How many shows have we done so far?
A lot.
I know, right? Like
Over 100.
Like, I mean, it feels like 100.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know,
I
100,
don't think about 100.
it feels like a lot of people.
Come on, Stan. Are you counting when we was up at the TV?
Well, yeah.
I mean, if you start, I mean, if you go back to, you know, when we was in the Bronx and,
It's quite a
you know, and in Brooklyn and here,
We'll see. Yeah, it's possible.
you might be at a hard 60.
Or more. Yeah, give it.
Yeah, that's what I'm at.
Because we hardly missed, any weeks.
Right? Almost never missed any weeks. So that's been great. You know what I'm saying? This week was an interesting week for me, gang.
Talk about it.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
What happened?
Well, listen, man, you know, first of all, I don't like hiding anything. You know what I mean? You know, I'm talking to the people. I tell the people what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So last week, after we finished the 1NYCHA show, apparently I caught a really, what I thought was a really bad cramp in my right side. And it was about 12 midnight at that stage in the game. And I got up and went to the hospital. And apparently I was passing a kidney stone. So that was, I got to tell you, that is probably the most painful thing that has ever happened to me in my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
The kidney stone is no joke, y'all. You know, so drink lots of water and cranberry juice and stuff.
Wow.
But it was hardcore. I mean, I had never felt like anything like that before. And I ended up, big shout out to Mount Sinai Hospital.
Okay, all right.
You know what I'm saying? I went to Mount Sinai. You know, I mean, they took care of me, gave me some painkillers and stuff. But, you know, they said at this stage in the game, I'm just going to have to pass it.
Okay.
Which I haven't.
Oh, and you're here today. Dedication.
Yes,
wow.
And it only by the grace of God and
hallelujah
and painkillers. am I sitting
hallelujah.
Here? Yes, that's right. I need hands on me, people. I need hands on me. You know what I'm saying? Only between the grace of God and painkillers is the reason why I'm sitting here today. So once I'm done with this, then I'm gonna go back and get in the bed and kind of hang out.
Well, thank you for letting us continue to do this today.
It's amazing that you're here.
Because Money Mike would have had to been at the boards, but
And I was curled up in the bed like it was. I never felt like that, but Mike had me covered.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And some of y'all are tuning into the real discussion. You saw I wasn't there on Friday for Robin's birthday, but that was my week, so I didn't do anything.
Okay,
but that was enough.
You were suffering.
But you're
here. Thank God you're here.
Yeah,
and thank God it wasn't COVID. Right?
Yeah. You know, they wanted me to stay overnight.
Okay.
Right. They said, you know, you want to stay. The doctor was like, you know, you can stay for observation. You know, and I was like, all right, you know, I was like, all right, okay. And then the dude came around, I was like, okay, we gotta give you a COVID test. And I was like, no, you know what? I'm good. I said, is there anything you could do for me here that I can't do for myself at home? She was like, no, you just gotta kind of pass it. I said, I'm all right. And I'll tell you why. Because I know in quite a few instances, you go in the hospital for one thing, and then you end up catching COVID in the hospital.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, I ain't had COVID this whole time. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know what? I'm good. I'm just going past it. So that was the deal.
Wow.
That was my week.
All right.
Sucked to be me.
Yeah.
How was your week, Saundrea?
All right. Well, greetings all. I'm glad Rock is here with us, and he was a little wobbly last week. I said, you all right? The way you was walking, I
Yeah, he
remember
said
seeing
that.
that. Yeah. So that was the pain probably kicking in when
Yeah.
we were leaving the show last week.
Yeah.
So it's good he's here. As always, my week was blessed and busy, right? So Monday, the Homes ISIS Coalition hosted from 11 to 1 a game day in the courtyard for seniors and adults. We had bingo, chess, checkers, and cards. We're trying to give a bit of normalcy and joy to our most vulnerable, population. And of course, NYCHA was upset about us doing that. But anyway, moving on. So Friday, we laid my godmother, Miss Betty, as I spoke about, to rest. On Friday, I had to speak a little bit at the service. I was on the program. So just continuing keeping them in prayer and us in prayer for our loss, the Etheridge family. And then on yesterday, I'm moving because my week was like just busy, but a lot of stops, a lot of goals. So yesterday, the Homes ISIS Coalition and the faith-based organizations that come alongside us, we had a huge family fun day, food, fun, and fellowship. And, we had 200 bags of food, 48 home deliveries to seniors, which we do every 2 weeks with them that are in need. We had approximately 18 pizza pies, big pasta tray from Delizia. The pizza was from Delizia. Shout out to them. And we had what was it? Cases of water, juice, sanitizer, masks, a photo booth, which was fun. The pictures were actually developed right on site. We had a free raffle for some toys that we had to give away that we were trying to, 3 items that we had got during the holiday that were more pricey that we didn't want to give out, to make any other child feel less than.
Right.
So we've been trying like for a month or so, month to try to get people to fill it out. And that day we got rid of the items finally because a lot of people wasn't signing up.
Right.
So we got that done. We had music, water guns, karaoke, water balloons. It was just fun. Some live singing. I sung "I Will Survive" out there, and we had a good time. So
Nice.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I sang. Y'all know that. So.
Yeah. You saw that last week.
And today makes the 356th day straight for UES for BLM since June 2nd, and we are gearing up.
I have to ask you a quick question, Saundrea. Who is this that just popped into the room just now?
Can you see that, Stan?
That's a number.
Andrea Lesser?
It says she's in the waiting room. Okay, Lessa.
Oh, right. That's
a
Maloney's
presser. Yeah, you could let her.
All right, cool. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Because I'm not sure.
How we working that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure. Yeah. We're connecting you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So 356 days straight since June 2nd. And we're gearing up for our 1-year anniversary. And of course, gearing up for May 25th, which is the anniversary death, sadly, of George Floyd,
Right.
So Tuesday will be a big day throughout the city, throughout the country.
Yes.
A lot of people will be coming together for him on his behalf and for Black Lives Matter. And so that's it. That was my week.
Always a lot.
Awesome. Stan, what was your week like?
Well, first, I want to
Show's getting better
apologize
and better, by the way.
for those who are looking for the Hip Hop Health and Politics show today. Unfortunately, I locked us out of the office in the studio, so we were not able to have that show. But we do have a guest, a special treat that we're going to give you guys a little bit later on. My week was busy. First, I want to say that I saw the murder of Ronald Green on TV this week, and like everyone else in this country, I was traumatized and just totally shocked at what I saw. And I just think that things are continuing to get worse, but in all reality, these things have always been happening. We just now catching it on film and seeing it for what it really is, and that was horrific. So I'm really praying that he's able to get some justice because that was a straight, cold-blooded murder right in front of our eyes, just like George Floyd. So I really think that we got to step up and fight back against that. I have an event coming up. We can show the flyer on June 13th.
Let me
Let's see if we can get the flyer up there.
There we go. Booyah, flyer.
Right. So we're going to be having an event at B Dow Park, right next to Astoria Houses.
Okay.
And the purpose of the event is to fight against all the overdevelopment that's happening in Astoria. While the Astoria houses themselves, the development is not getting any attention, any money, any funding, and anything. So just go over some numbers while we're fighting. They're building at Hollis North what they call affordable housing, right? And so the majority of the apartments are going to be going for people making $66,000 or $78,000. You know, so when you look at the average income in that particular neighborhood, and especially those who live in Astoria, they're not making that kind of money. You know, so no one from Astoria houses will be able to move into this development, which is the biggest problem that we're having here.
Yeah.
Then right, also there, Hollis Point, the rent there is $1,895 for a studio, $2,527 for a 1-bedroom, $3,385 for a 2-bedroom. So who can afford that? You know, so when we ask about affordable housing, especially now during this pandemic, this is a crisis, you know, and to continue to build luxury developments when NYCHA is suffering like this is unacceptable. So we're gonna be having this event to come out. We're gonna be reaching out to all the residents in Astoria to come out and let your voice be heard. Let the politicians know that this is not acceptable. You know, and last but not least, I want to read something. One thing I want to read, and this is also NYCHA's total ineptness and craziness. So here we are. This is from Helen Rosenthal. She's a city council member. So she says, and these people giving money to NYCHA. We also learned that on average, only 5% of city funds in the NYCHA budget get spent in a year. So 5%. Now, then she said for her district, they spent 10% of the money. You know, so the question becomes, if the city council people are giving funds to NYCHA and only 5 or 10 of that money, percent of that money is being spent,
where's it going?
Where's the rest of the money going? You know, so again, is this not a crime? Where people are actually stealing money given from city officials,
or where
just
it's
like
sitting at? Yeah, they have to identify where it's at.
Right, exactly. So just watching that happen was just horrible, and hopefully we can hold these folks more accountable and do something a little bit different going forward.
Mike, what's the deals? Keep it short, buddy.
Well,
because I got a special guest.
We see
well, you know, like I always say, you know, I was doing smooth, keeping it smooth. You know, I don't do as much as Saundrea. You know, that's top activist right there.
There you go.
Come out to Manhattan. Hey.
I know in Ravenswood, you know, other day we did have a silent party.
Okay.
That was my first time attending one.
Nice.
And we're going to talk about that a little later.
Nice.
Because that was actually pretty cool.
Nice.
So let's get down to business.
Okay.
Introducing, wow, look at this here. This is so incredible.
Wow. Yes.
Congresswoman Carol Maloney.
Yes.
Hey there. How are you?
How are you?
I'm okay. I just came from a rally
I know you did.
in Manhattan on overdevelopment.
I got it.
Trying to build more luxury housing. I told him the story, Saundrea, of you stopping them. The developers tried to take the playground.
That's right.
At Holmes Isaacs and turn it into a luxury building. And Saundrea led that effort, and I was part of that effort. We stopped that. It's one constant fight to hold on to your zoning and your property, really.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, good, because they're trying to come in and take over NYCHA property.
Yes.
So we succeeded. We went to court over it, but we won. We stopped it.
Yeah.
Thank
America's Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney.
Yes.
How are you?
That's
and Carol, I would like to compliment you on your hat, by the way. I love your hat.
Oh yeah. they little.
Well, I can compliment you on yours, and I tell you, on a day like today, you need a hat. The sun is. It was 98 degrees at the rally I was at. 98 degrees.
Yeah,
enough to make you faint practically.
Wow. Yeah.
We had 500 people protesting another luxury development, taking the light and air and playground and everything else in the neighborhood.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
We're going to stop that one too.
Yes, that's right.
Beautiful.
So once again, we want to just welcome you to the show and thank you for coming on, Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. We've been trying for a bit, but you know, we know how your schedule is, and I don't know if you're in Washington or in the city. No, you're in the city because you just came from the rally. Because sometimes you're in Washington.
I'm going to Washington on Tuesday. We have a markup on independence of inspector generals and protecting them from bullies like Trump and others.
Okay.
Try to fire them when they do the right job of inspecting and trying to find out who's stealing money where. So it's protecting them. They can't fire them without cause and proof that they've done something wrong. So it'll protect their jobs. But I tell you, as Saundrea knows, we had a series of really meetings with every single candidate running for mayor.
Yes, we did.
Just completed it. And Saundrea was very good. She questioned all of them.
Mhm.
on where they stood on NYCHA,
Mhm.
and were they for protecting and preserving the property for NYCHA
Right.
and for the residents. They all said yes. So
Mhm.
I hope that's true, but
Yeah.
sometimes they get in and they change their tune.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
Just
I
Mayor de
put it-
Blasio, he tried to take Holmes Isaac,
Yes.
give it to a developer. It's
Yeah,
outrageous,
yeah.
really.
Sadly, Fetna Properties. Yeah. Yeah. And each candidate pretty much except for, I think it was, what's her name? Catherine. I think pretty much the rest of them was against privatization. They said they would keep public housing public. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. All the ones that I spoke to, and
Okay.
I did announce it on this show. But I know a lot of people heard of Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. Can you just walk us through a little bit of your the process of the impeachment of Trump that you were part of?
Yeah, well, and then I'd like to just tell you what happened this week in Washington, since it's more current. But
Yes.
as the chair of the Oversight Committee, I'm the first woman in history to chair that committee.
Ooh,
There were 3 or 4 committees that were in charge of the impeachment. One was Judiciary, one was Oversight, one was Financial Services. And we met with the Speaker practically every day. We had a whole group of attorneys looking at it. We felt like we made a very good case that he violated the law. And we voted to impeach him in the House.
Right.
And then when it got to the Senate, they let him off.
Yeah.
But we voted twice to impeach it.
Yeah.
Most recently, it was on January 6th, the uprising,
Yeah.
just extremely upsetting to most people who saw it, to see rioters take over our Capitol,
Yeah.
claim that the election was stolen when there's no
Yeah.
proof of it, and went to court
Insurrection.
almost 20 times. They lost every single time.
Right.
And they went in and tried to disrupt the proceedings of Congress, where we were ratifying the Electoral College votes to elect President Biden.
Right.
And they disrupted it. They came into the chambers. They took over for roughly 4 hours.
Wow.
We need answers to why the National Guard did not come until 4 hours.
Mm.
I said in New York, the National Guard would have been there in 10 minutes.
Right.
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 They didn't
That's
come.
right.
And we had 100 people injured and a number of people killed.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it was just, it was one of the darkest days in our country's history.
Yes, it was.
Where rioters took over our government, closed down the proceedings, and disrupted our ratification of the president. We went back after they gained control of the Capitol, and voted and continued our work through the night until we ratified President Biden's election.
Wow. Thank you.
And Vice President Kamala Harris. So that was what happened there. But also, one thing that is sort of happening in our city that's very distressing
Okay.
is the anti-Asian hate crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the House passed Senate 932, the COVID-19 hate crimes. And we condemned all of the actions that had taken place in Atlanta, Georgia on March 16th, and reaffirmed our commitment to fighting hate crimes and protecting citizens from xenophobia and any anti-action. Unfortunately, Saundrea, a lot of these hate crimes are happening in our city. There were assaults on people in the subways, in Hell's Kitchen, and in Central Park. And as the chair of the Oversight Committee, and incidentally, I'm the first woman in history.
Okay.
Chair of the Oversight Committee, women are at the table.
Right.
And I managed that important bill on the floor, and it passed overwhelmingly. Then also, we're doing a series of hearings on unsustainable drug prices, the high cost of prescription drugs.
Okay.
Okay.
And the law
Yeah.
prevents the government from negotiating Medicare to get lower prices for drugs. We have HR 3 in, we're trying to pass that bill, but we had Abby V in, their CEO. He's taken, you talk about misuse of money, 600, he got a contract, a sole source, no bid contract to develop the vaccine. He's gotten roughly $240 million. He hasn't presented or completed one single vaccine in the arm of anyone.
Wow.
And I think that's Astoria houses behind you right there, Was that right, Saundrea? Is that the story?
No, this is Holmes and Isaacs.
It's Holmes and Isaacs.
Yes.
Okay, well, we've had some vaccination sites there, and
Yes,
we need
we
to
did.
get more of them. I'm trying to get a healthcare center at every development that I have the privilege of representing. We have one at Queensbridge. We need one at Holmes Isaac. We need one permanent there. It's not going away. We need to continue testing people and vaccinating them, and we need to do it on site. So I'm working on trying to get a permanent one at Holmes Isaacs, Astoria Houses, Ravenswood, all in the district that I represent. But the name of this company was Emergent Biosolutions. So here they've gotten over, oh gosh, all this money, and they 271 million. 271 million. They haven't produced one vaccine that is usable. So that is outrageous, and we are continuing to investigate that. And then we had this commission similar to 9/11, where we all put together this bipartisan commission to sort of understand what happened. That was on the floor. We want one on January 6th. What happened? How did they take over the Capitol? Why didn't the Guard come to protect us? Why weren't we better protected? And it got through the House, but we need to get it through the Senate. And then this is very important, the Community Reinvestment Act. That really holds banks accountable and forces them to invest in communities if they leave those communities without banking services. And some of the OCC and FDIC under Trump had weakened the Community Reinvestment Act, and we need to strengthen it. So we're moving forward on that and moving forward on postal reform. I wrote a bill, I call it the agreement bill. We could never get anything because no one could agree. And I just said everything that goes in the bill has to be agreed to by the Republicans, the Democrats, and the unions, and the professionals of the Postal Service. And we got a bill through, and we didn't put anything on it that people didn't agree with, because then it would fail, but we passed it separately in another bill. So we passed the electrification of the Postal Service, which we need to do, and paid leave for the birth of a child, which other federal employees got. That was one of my bills. We never got it for the postal workers. So we got a whole slew of other bills that got through, but we didn't have an agreement on it. So it's going to be hard to get it either through the House or through the Senate. So that's what I've been working on this week. So we.
Oh, she gave it to us. She gave it to us.
That was a heavy week.
Right? Look, she got into our part of the segment, right? How's your week? We didn't get to ask you. Awesome.
I have a question. Congresswoman, I love this so much. But because this is the first time I'm actually speaking to a congresswoman. By the way, my name is Rock Logic. My question is, in Washington, like behind closed doors, are the Republicans, do they really believe that stuff they're saying on TV? Like, or is it just all politics for TV, but behind closed doors they go, you know what, really it doesn't make any sense, but we're making a political move? Like, do you have personal conversations with these guys that it sounds like they have sense?
Well, I think the biggest outrage is that I had this hearing on January 6th, the insurrection.
Right.
And the Republicans said, oh, it wasn't an insurrection, it was a holiday. What do you mean a holiday? They shot and hurt 100 people and killed a couple others. And they called it a holiday, and they said it was like tourists coming to the Capitol. It wasn't tourists coming to the Capitol. It was an insurrection.
Yes.
They were looking for Speaker Pelosi. They were looking for Vice President Pence. They constructed a gallows, like they were going to kill people.
Hang somebody, I remember one.
And they were saying, oh, it was just a holiday. It wasn't a holiday.
Right.
It was an insurrection. What are they?
Were they even there? I'm like, were you guys even there? Like, I'm like, you were all there together. I remember when I saw it, I said, okay, this is the end of the Trump situation. Everybody's going to understand that this man doesn't care about anyone. This is what I saw, and I said, this is over, right? And then the Republicans turned around, and now it's a holiday, you know. And I'm like,
picnic, a picnic. Right. Come on.
Right. You guys was there. What are we talking about? I'm like, you know,
it was an insurrection. There was no question about it. It was violent. It was disrespectful. It was horrifying to most Americans. It was one of the darkest days
Yeah.
Our capital had not been violated since the War of 1812.
Wow, wow,
And it was
wow.
a dark day, and it was horrible.
Yeah,
And so they're trying to rewrite history.
yeah,
Yep.
They tried to overturn the re-election.
Exactly.
Insurrection. There's no
Wow.
question. That was their goal. They said, we don't want Congress to verify the election. I thought I would never see that. We were always known for the peaceful transfer of power.
Right.
No more. No more. They stopped that one. You know,
Wow.
it, I'd say the darkest day since 1812 when the Brits took over the Capitol.
Wow. And Community Board 8, we actually passed a resolution with our Social Justice Committee regarding the insurrection. So we want to see accountability. So we did put that out. You should have I'm sure you were CC'd in the resol that we did. Yeah.
Should tell the truth.
Yeah,
What
right.
really happened. Thank you for doing that, Saundrea.
Yeah.
So let me ask them a question. No, I heard you mention once about the monies that are given from Congress to NYCHA and that is not accountable for and basically is missing. Can you speak a little bit to that? How much money NYCHA actually receives from Congress and where does it go and why is it missing and what can we do to stop that?
Okay, I would say they get roughly $2 billion a year. They get like 30 million a week. And when I go back, I'm gonna ask for an audit and try to figure out where that money goes. I've asked for it before, but I'm gonna see if I can get the force of the administration meeting President Biden and his team behind getting the accountability on it. $2 billion, it's not enough, but it's a lot of money. We should be able to repair the development with that money. And as you know, it's a problem. I do want to thank NYCHA for implementing a model program that I asked for, and they did it in 3 developments in Queens, Queensbridge, Ravenswood, and Astoria houses. And they are now decentralizing it. When I was on the city council, it was all decentralized and we could keep a record of what was being done and what was being repaired and where the money was going. Now I don't get anything from them. And I want it on the local level because it's closer to the people and they're likely to get, the more repairs. It's very slow, I'm told, but
Yes,
people tell me that one of the problems is that the repairs have been so neglected that all of the repairs are like an emergency. So it's really terrible things like mold and water leaks and really terrible things. So we really need a 2-tiered program. I'm going to work on this now. One for emergencies, which is everything's an emergency now because it hasn't been repaired. And another that you can get to really repairing the apartments when there are reasonable repairs that can be done. But a lot of them, and another thing that we're doing is trying to push the Green New Deal that if you have to repair something, repair it green.
Right.
For example, in Astoria houses, where many of my friends live, they had a power outage with the gas.
Yep.
So they were repairing it with the gas. We should be going electric and getting off the gas and the fossil fuels going forward, making it a green repair. So there's a lot out there, but it is. I'm looking at the trees and grass around it, and thank God for Saundrea. We saved the playground at Holmes.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
Isaacs. And if they had taken, they were literally snatching the playground away from the children.
Land grab.
In the development. It's just outrageous. And then they were building affordable housing that no one in NYCHA could afford to live in. And then the money they were making out of it, they were going to take down to City Hall, and who knew where it went. I raised so much hell, they then said it would come back to Holmes and Isaacs. But anyway, it's now on hold now. We filed several suits. We were suing and everything else. So I think it's over now, maybe.
Yes.
But they keep coming back. I mean, it just never ends. They come back and they building on top of buildings, building on every green space, trying to take parks. It's a constant fight. One time, Saundrea, remember when we tore down 12 stories on 108 East 96th Street? They overbuilt 12 stories. They got them to tear them off because they had violated the zoning laws. They put unaffordable housing up there. So it's a fight every day.
Yeah,
just to hold on to what you have.
that's so true. That's so true. And it's just great that you stood with us. I mean, we've been fighting this fight since 2015, and you have been present. So I just want to say publicly thank you for standing with us. You've been at our presses. You even toured recently the development homes in Isaacs. You went into residents' apartments and seen the deplorable conditions. And I believe you. I believe you wrote a letter. I didn't get a copy of it yet to management and stuff like that. But I also want to say about the infill. Sadly, the mayor was overriding the EULA process, so it wasn't even coming to the community board.
Wow.
So
Whoa.
that never happened.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Boy, we got to
Yeah.
put in a bill that says you cannot override the community.
Yeah, we
board.
got to work on that. Yeah.
I mean, every day it's another fight. And it's federal property too. It's federal
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
I'm going to put in a bill on that. And I know we wrote some letters on the deplorable condition that we saw, that we've got to get, corrected at
Right.
home.
Yeah.
I would also like to get the program there that you have decentralized repairs.
That'd be
No,
great.
I was at one meeting. This woman says she's been and this is at Holmes Isaac. She says the plumbing is broken. Every time she comes home, there's water all out of her apartment and down the hall, and it's been a year and they haven't repaired it. It's outrageous.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Infrastructure.
Yes.
Infrastructure is bad.
I just saw something in the chat room because the chat room's active, obviously, Congresswoman, because you're on. So Cynthia Tibbs says the blueprint will end Section 9 public housing. That's what I have in the chat room. What do you have to say to that?
Well,
I don't really know anything about it.
I think public developments are public developments, and they should not be ended. They should remain. And I'm opposed to any of these programs that turn it and privatize it, because we need the housing. Last time I looked, it was something like 900,000 people were on the waiting list to get into NYCHA. When I was on the city council, it was 900,000 people. I don't know how many it is right now, but I'm sure it's over 100,000 people waiting. People need the housing, and you can't privatize it, because then it takes the housing off the market. It's no longer affordable.
Exactly.
So I'm totally for affordable housing. I want more money, more services, and I want to decentralize the repairs at NYCHA, because I think over time it'll get better for the residents.
Well, I want to know. This is Mike, by the way. I'm sorry. How you doing?
Mike Jones.
Mike
There you go. That's Mike in the red.
Yes.
She knows Stan.
But a question about the waiting list. I want to know, why does it take 10 years? I mean, and there's so many people. What are they doing? Are they taking forever? Are they being lazy? I want to know why. What can we do to have them step this up?
You mean the repairs?
Oh, everything, even with to public housing,
to move
period.
into public
Yeah, he's talking about the slow
period.
traffic tax. You move into public housing.
move
It's
into
taking
public
10 years.
housing.
Repeal the Fair
takes-
Cloth Act.
Right,
We need more building. Repeal the Fair Cloth Act for one, right,
10
Congresswoman?
years.
Yeah, you need more building. But the
Yeah.
reason it takes a long time is people don't move out because
Yeah,
they don't have a
right.
place to go. It's
Yeah.
affordable. We don't have enough affordable housing.
I
Yeah.
see some
And
people.
so
get-
there's a waiting list to get in.
Right.
So it's that's a challenge because we don't have enough of it.
True.
It's a few empty apartments in Ravenswood.
Yeah, they just go. They just stay
They know
empty.
how to hold apartments, though.
Yeah, sure they do.
I think Stan is.
Yeah, so now, I have a question for you now. And again, you've done a lot of great work with Justice for All. We appreciate everything you've done to support our efforts over in Queensbridge and Ravenswood, but as a former candidate for Queensborough president, I did see you endorse Donovan. And, Donovan to me is not one that's for the best interest of NYCHA. So can you explain that a little bit and tell us why? What was the thought process?
Well, we have worked together on many things. For example, in Queens, for example, the repair of the waterfront
Okay.
right next to Queensbridge. We're working together. And Astoria, Queens, Astoria houses, the repair of the waterfront there. And also, we're working together on K3 which as a former teacher, I feel very strongly about. And
Okay.
part of the money that we brought back to Queens and brought back to all of the boroughs and to the city was over $100 billion, of which there was a lot of money, more money than I've ever seen in education. I'm a former teacher. And all of the scientists and people say, Stan, that if you invest in the early years, then your degree of probability of graduating from high school and college increases dramatically.
Absolutely.
So this will provide 3K. So in other words, every 3-year-old in my district will get 3K public education.
Wow.
That is huge. And he is helping me implement it into 2 school districts that did not have it before, which is very, very, very important.
Yes.
Also working to get an affordable senior housing project on Steinway Street.
Okay.
And he's working with me on that to make that happen. And he's been a willing partner. I like to get things done. And I spoke to him about working to get funding and a healthcare center in my developments that I represent in Queens. This is Queens. I want them in Manhattan too and in Brooklyn. But in Queens, I was able to get a healthcare center at Queensbridge on premises. It's the floating hospital.
Right.
And it is there giving vaccinations, testing, and doing general medical care to help people. He has promised to work with me on getting healthcare centers also in Ravenswood and in Astoria houses, which the residents have asked me for. He's also been very supportive of the decentralization plan for repairs. And I've asked him to see if we could get a youth program going in those 3 developments where young people would be trained in painting and repairing and fixing up and getting those jobs to repair the apartments. We can't wait for NYCHA to do it because it's moving too slowly. So I am trying on the federal level to get that funded for those 3 developments, a youth program. And everything is stronger if you work together. He is the borough president, and he is working to get, this youth program going. And I also want to help the urban development group with Bishop Taylor, which we're trying to help. He's got some youth programs. We want a youth program that trains the kids how to repair the apartments so that they can get these jobs repairing them. And you gotta pay for it. You gotta pay them. You gotta pay the people teaching them, and you gotta pay for it and have somebody running it. So he's been very helpful to me, and I'm appreciative. I like people who want to get things done. And as I said, we work very hard to get the funding together. That sinkhole, I don't know if you've seen it, but you can't even go around the waterfront of Astoria houses. So
Right.
it's going to be repair that so the kids can go down to the water and enjoy it. We did get it repaired in Queensbridge. We even got a pier done, and we got all that kind of stuff done.
Right. And it's a
I
cross
also
endorsement,
want
right?
Federal money for the ferry. I love the ferry. And the ferry now connects. It connects with Saundrea's house. So I think it's 94th Street, right?
Yeah. We rode the ferry to and from together.
Yeah. So I got the first money for that. That was $3 million.
Yeah.
And he's going to, help with that. So we're working together. We're getting things done. It's not enough, but we have a vision. We have a plan. I think if we get those healthcare centers, I think we can get the healthcare centers. We need that. And I don't think that this COVID stuff is going to go away.
Right.
I think they're saying now that in 6 months we need a booster shot. And
Yeah.
then you have to also constantly, if you've been exposed, you have to be tested. And children need their inoculations, and they get sick, people get sick. So we should have a healthcare center.
Yeah.
We have one right there by Jacob Reese, right there in Queensbridge. But
Yeah.
people in Ravenswood and Astoria houses, and in Astoria houses in Ravenswood, they don't want to go to Queensbridge. They say, why do they have it? We should have it on our premises.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we did work to bring, he also helped me with getting these vaccination pop-ups, we call them, at Ravenswood and at Astoria houses, so the people don't, we had a lot of them at Queensbridge. Queensbridge has this big sort of a meeting room that a lot of people go to. They had the big meeting room there. But in a sense, it's not fair that everything's in Queensbridge. It should be in the other places too, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So that's what we're working on.
Yeah.
And, you
Yeah.
know,
All right.
no, that's it.
Okay.
Congresswoman, so you, when you were a teacher, what grade did you teach in school?
I taught in East Harlem.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
I thought I thought I was going to change the world.
Mhm, okay.
You know, when you're young, and
Yeah.
I was teaching in a program called the Welfare Education Plan.
Okay.
And it was teaching people to get an 8th grade education and a high school equivalency, because a lot of people can't get hired without an 8th grade education or high school equivalency.
Sure.
We had a great program. It was successful. People were getting jobs. They were getting their degrees. And then the program was cut out of the budget on the state level. So we lost our funding. So Stan, the first office that I ever ran for, they had an election of what teacher would represent the neighborhood in the planning to get the money back. And I was elected. I was
wow.
elected. To this day, I don't know what they saw in a young kid. I got elected and
Good for you.
eventually became the lobbyist for the program and eventually refunded it. And I
Right.
could see the power of government, that a legislator had more power than the chancellor or a teacher or a principal in terms of getting it funded and getting the vision and standards in place. So I loved education. It was such an exciting experience and went into working in government and worked for 2 speakers and the Democratic leader of the state Senate before I ran for office for the city council, which I served on for 10 years.
Wow.
And that's when I got so involved in NYCHA, because we had a program going with the tenant leaders where we'd have a monthly meeting and we would go over every repair that should be made. We'd have a list, we'd get funding for it, we could follow up on it. And now what they did, they centralized it. There's no way to follow up on it. And half the time the people tell me when I go to developments, they just ambush me, that they've been waiting for years and they can't get anything repaired. So I'm
Absolutely.
gonna go back to the old way where you had the funding going to the development. You could work with the tenant leaders to get the funding. We would decide where it was going to go, whether it was, security or, repair of the elevators or, the roofs or whatever. And we would figure it out. And it was pretty well run. It was really well run. And the tenants had a big voice in running the development.
Yeah.
But now it's all gone now. Everything's downtown in a center that you can never get a reading on when everything's going to get fixed. Usually they don't get fixed. So it's not good. We
And I
need
would
to
say you've done
decentralize.
you've
That's
done
one
a
of my
great job.
goals. I want to decentralize repairs in NYCHA.
Yeah.
You've definitely done a good job to introduce the program. From experience, I could say it's been a bit of a struggle to get to the managers to actually do the program and actually help the residents the way that it was designed. But hopefully we can put some more pressure on them and get them to do it, because that's exactly how it should be done. There should be trained, skilled workers in the developments going directly to apartments instead of 8 people being involved and before anything gets done. So I think the idea is good. It hasn't worked quite the way it should, but that's not your fault. That's definitely the fault of the developing, the managers themselves. And we got to pressure them.
I'm going to ask a question from the chat room from Brenda Temple, because the chat room's live. Anyone can become homeless. What is your plan to address the homeless population, Congresswoman Carroll?
Well, I have a bill in with the chair of the Financial Services Committee, Maxine Waters.
Oh, Auntie Maxine.
We're calling for roughly $60 billion to go into homeless housing. In this money that came to our area, It was over 100 billion, but a lot of that is direct grants to people, the $1,400 check, the unemployment money, the transit money, the fund to help people stay in their homes and this, that, and the other. And a lot of that money is going to homelessness. Now, one of the things about the federal government, and why I ran for Congress, I was on the city council, and they were cutting the money federally. So we couldn't do anything. We were cutting education, we're cutting healthcare. So a lot of the money comes from the federal government. When I ran against a 15-year incumbent Republican, went to Congress and voted against aid to the city of New York. Well, who needs him? And we were cutting everything. So I said, I'm going to Congress. And since I've been in Congress, the amount of money going to the city of New York has always gone up, not down, but it's still not enough of it. But I do, Stan, want to tell you, I've got these numbers from on the skilled trades program that we started, and you are part of that too. You pushed for it.
Yes.
They told me that the productivity performance has increased for maintenance and skills trades. It's up 18%. The completed tasks that they've documented is over 7,899 completed tasks. The skilled trade repair timeline, it's 88 days is the current average time for a task to be completed. That's too long, but that's a 20% improvement over the past month. And residents at home for scheduled repair has increased in resident presence, their scheduled repair due to more direct scheduling. That was one of the worst things I heard from people in the developments. They would schedule a repair, but the people were out working or they weren't there. And then they would schedule the repair. They'd go to the door is locked, no one's there. Then they'd say they completed it. They hadn't completed anything.
Lies.
So,
Absolutely.
so now it's better. 46%, they're connecting with the person to do it. And then very importantly, they've saved travel time hours, 87 hours reinvested into servicing by reducing travel between developments. So what they do is they have teams that come in and they're going to do plumbing one day, or one day they're going to do painting. It's not like they go to homes in Saundrea's area where she lives and then go to Queens, because then you're spending an hour going back and forth between two developments. They're scheduling the time better in that way. But I think it'd be even better. I really want to get a youth program going, and I'm trying very hard to get that funded.
Absolutely need that, especially now during the summer with the shootings and everything else happening. They definitely need something to do to keep them occupied. So that would be amazing, wonderful.
Yeah.
I would just like to say that maybe this might come across your desk. That's all I'm saying. I'm part of a group called OSG, that's Off School Grounds, and it's a bunch of principals in New York that came together under this one umbrella. And what they're doing is they're actually putting recording studios and television broadcast studios in the schools now. They're doing funding for that because no one's doing band anymore, right? No one's picking up the tuba and playing the tuba. So so they're modernizing and having these kids learn, the behind the scenes skills of TV production and podcasting and radio broadcasting. So that's
fabulous.
Yeah, so that might, I'm just letting it might come across your desk. It might need a little money or funding. I'm just saying, that's all.
Yeah.
It's a great program.
Yeah, it is.
Really
It is.
And it's called OSG. So if you see it,
Okay, is it in my developments? That's Ravenswood, Queensbridge, Stanley Isaac's home.
yeah, we're doing a couple of the schools over there.
Schools
Yes.
in the area.
Yeah.
And I'll take a look at it. I have to work for the people I represent.
I know
If
100%.
it's in those developments, I'll work with you on it. Okay? Send it to me.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And you should think about bringing that tonight if that's at all possible.
Yeah, we could bring that tonight. That'd be great, because a lot of the kids, once again, they, everyone, the idea of the program is to say to kids, everyone doesn't have to rap. Everyone doesn't have to sing. You can hold the camera and make money. You can be an engineer, sound engineer, and make money, So that's what the whole program is about. And maybe we could bring it tonight, y'all.
We should really
Maybe
try.
in the Isaac Center too, Congresswoman. Maybe we could work something out, and you never know, right? If it could be done in the Isaac
One
Center.
thing about NYCHA, they have space. Like we moved in a pretty big development in the health center, the floating health center in Queensbridge. It's the only development in the whole state that has a health center right there.
Mhm.
But I'd like to have one in every single one of my developments, but there is room for the tenant association to meet, for the seniors to meet. So there is space, more space than you have in other places, really.
I know in the Isaac Center, they also changed some things and they have like a food pantry inside as well. But I want to speak to the health stations because I grew up in McKinley houses in the Bronx. I know that's not your area, but I was in McKinley houses and Forest houses across the street. There was a health station, but they closed so many of our health stations down in public housing. So what I'm saying is the stations are probably still there, but just boarded up or closed. And if we can get those open in all these different NYCHA developments, that would be really good for the residents to have, a health station. That's where I was immunized at, and my son was immunized at, got our immunization. So, yeah.
And I think with this COVID, it's not going away. From what they say, it's going to come back in the winter. And now they're saying that we're going to need a booster shot.
I know,
You're
right?
going to have to continue being tested, and it's not like you get a shot that's it. You have to do it every year like you do with influenza.
Yeah. Yep. So true.
Yeah.
I think,
So-
Congresswoman, I think we're starstruck here because normally this table ain't that quiet. That's all I'm saying.
She had a lot to say, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Congresswoman was able to tell us a lot of things she was doing. She gave us her segment, like what she did this week.
Right,
So she picked up what we were doing. So we didn't even have to ask. So that's awesome.
yeah, she laid out a lot of stuff.
Hopefully that spot. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
No, I was
I'll
gonna
say.
say hopefully that spot, that sanitation department in Ravenswood, they're gonna be moving soon. So hopefully,
Yeah.
me personally, I would like it to be a community center because much things can be done inside of a community center, like health class or anything like that. So
Yeah. He lives in Ravenswood.
He's
so-
he's a Ravenswood resident.
I'm a Ravenswood
part
resident.
of the CLT, right? Ravenswood CLT.
yeah,
right?
me and Lorenzo, we starting the CLT Ravenswood CLT.
I have a question.
Oh,
We got an election coming up June 22nd.
yeah. Ooh.
And Saundrea was really part of my forum on leaders in the neighborhood that I represent. And she asked every single one of the candidates what they were going to do for NYCHA.
Right.
I'm wondering, I haven't made my mind up. I want to know, have any of you made up your mind on who you're voting for? Who are you voting for?
For mayor or any
For mayor?
or any race?
For mayor. Who's
Just
going to be
mayor.
best for
Just
NYCHA?
mayor. I'm
Was it?
stuck.
Uh-huh.
I'm stuck. I'm between. Oh, I like and it's in no particular order. I like Maya. I'm looking at what's Eric Adams, Diana Morales, and it's Ray McGuire, and yeah.
Got about 5 of them.
Well, I know, no, but you only have to rank one. You could go down 5, but I might just pick one. So I'm the jury's still out for me, because nobody's really fitting for what I want to see in a mayor. Like I'm not convinced. So those are the people I'm paying attention to. So the ones I didn't name, I'm not even looking at.
Right.
So go ahead, Rock. What about you?
I mean, I've been into Eric Adams recently, and Ray McGuire I've been paying attention to, and Andrew Yang also I've been paying attention to. So I've been looking at those guys, just kind of seeing what they're talking
Okay.
about. And I've had the pleasure of having conversations with Ray and Eric. You know what I'm saying? So that's been kind of cool. But
Okay.
that's who I'm looking at right now. Other than that, the field, hey, you know what? I'm going to tell you, just because, okay. I'm looking at also Jocelyn Taylor. I'm just like, she's an underdog,
Right.
but you know what?
Mm.
I like her program.
We
I
had
like
her here
her idea,
first. Yeah. What about you, Stan?
I would say I know Jocelyn is an underdog, but I like her platform the best out of them. Maya is okay. Morales is okay as well. Diana Morales. So I would say those are my top 3. I'm not too particular with Eric Adams and Ray. I mean, those guys haven't impressed me yet.
Yeah, got my attention. That's all. What about you, Mike? Who you like?
No, Ray impressed me already. I like Ray.
You like Ray?
I like Ray.
Basketball. No.
And I like Jocelyn Taylor.
Like Jocelyn. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What about you? Can you say anything? Who are you looking at? Who has your attention?
Listen, I there's certain things I liked about all of them, but I'll say that all of them, when they were asked about public housing, were committed to continuing
Right.
public developments and supporting it and working on a city, state, and federal level to help improve public housing. They all had a strong statement for it. And many of them said, see, one of the problems with NYCHA used to get city funding, and then they cut it back and the state cut it back. Now, that's not right. The state and the city should invest in NYCHA.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I like the fact that many of them said that they would invest in NYCHA, which I think is important. It should be part of the tax base, should go into NYCHA from the city and the state, in addition to the federal government.
Right.
We need more support from all of them. But over the years, they've cut back their commitment, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
But they all said the right thing. Now it gets to who's going to implement it.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I like Diane Morales talk about everything should come from the community, and that people should involve the community more and listen to the community more.
Yes, definitely.
And I like the fact that Eric Adams has actually run something and been successful as a borough president and getting the things done, and all of that. I like their new ideas coming from a lot of them. I like Diana and Catherine. And anyway, we've got a lot of work to do. Why don't you invite them on your show?
Well, we've invited them.
Some of them we have, and then on another show that we were doing, we did a 1NYCHA thing, and another show, Mi Gente, Mi People, and we had the mayoral debate, and 25 of them, we did it via Zoom at the time because they couldn't show up all at the same time.
Right.
The residents, the NYCHA residents, they were in a gymnasium over on 104th Street in those houses over there in the community center. And about 25 of them, they all showed up on Zoom and they were able to ask questions in real time. So we did do something like that, but we're looking for them to come on individually.
Yeah. And that was done by East Harlem Dems and some other. It was a
700 strong.
And the show you name was not in existence yet. So.
Right.
700 strong was there. You
East
know what I'm saying? It was a whole
Dems
thing
and,
that happened.
So
that was a lot of fun. But we definitely looking for them to come on individually.
Yeah.
Onto the platform.
Well, now time is ticking. So
we
almost had Maya on, but it was a conflict with her booking. And I had met with her people a few times, and we even was with her in Queensbridge. So it's a conflict for some people. And Diana Morales' team had reached out, and they didn't follow it. Like, I follow up, so it's up to them to follow up because I do the bookings. But at the end of the day, time is ticking, and we've had a lot of city council candidates on.
Yes, we did.
We had we had Alvin Bragg. We had a couple of Manhattan district attorney candidates on. So we're giving people, because it's a big race. One of the things for me, I don't even know who to look at. Controller, I'm stuck. For controller, that's another race. That nobody's really talking about. And the controller is probably going to slip in because nobody's paying attention. Nobody's really looking at that race.
Well, I've endorsed Corey Johnson. He's the president of the city council now.
Right.
He's very solid, very hardworking, and has a lot of, he's got a record to run on. I think the easiest way to see what somebody's going to do is what have they already done?
Okay.
Have they
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
Well, I endorsed someone too I endorsed Julie Menon for District 5. So, and I know you endorsed another candidate yourself. So yeah.
Tricia Shimamura, she worked with me, so I know her heart and her ability and her ability to help people, and I'm very strong.
Yeah.
I do have one more question. I know Chuck Schumer's talking about bringing $80 billion here for NYCHA. What is the likelihood of that happening? What would be the holdup, if there is any, to prevent that from happening?
Well, the holdup is always making it happen. You think you can go up there and snap your fingers and things happen. It's not that easy. It's a negotiation. I have a lot of respect. I'm in the House, he's in the Senate. I hope he's right and he can bring 80 billion, but I have a lot of respect for anything that can get 215 votes to have a majority vote and pass the House of Representatives. It's hard, and I'm in for the long haul. I had one bill that gave health and compensation to the heroes and heroines of 9/11. Many of them were sick and dying because they worked out on the site and the toxins were terrible, and the federal government said it was safe when it wasn't, and they're sick. It was really unfair, and they didn't have health care. I worked on that bill for 18 years. Can you imagine?
Wow.
I finally passed it, and it was $84 billion for New York City to help these people. But you put the idea, and you've got to get the majority. It's not just like you have to get the majority across the country, not just
Right.
New York. New York usually sticks together. We
Right.
help each other out on our initiatives, Republicans and Democrats together, but you got to get the whole country. It's a harder goal. I had to
Yeah.
prove that every single district in the country benefited from this program in order to get their votes. And finally, when it passed, I got like 100% vote from most people, but it
Yeah.
took a lot of work.
And a lot of people probably remember you with the fireman coat on because you wore that all the time. It didn't matter what the weather was. She had that heavy coat. That was Congresswoman. Let's give her. She was really trying to fight hard for that. She wore that. Yes, she had that heavy coat on. It was hot, huh? Was that a heavy hot coat?
Well, what happened is they gave me the coat with my name on it. A
Okay.
hero's coat. I didn't deserve that coat. But they gave me the firefighters and officers gave it to me. I said, I'm going to wear this coat till we pass the bill.
You did, yeah.
So then I started wearing it. And then I remember I left it in a hearing and the press said, where's the coat? Where's the coat? You don't have the coat on. So I learned I better wear that coat all the time. And
Wow,
it
yeah.
worked. Even people in the House of Representatives would come up and say, why are you wearing the coat? I said, well, I've been working on this bill forever. I'm trying to get it passed and help
And
me
it happened
out,
finally.
go on the bill. And it really raised awareness of the need for the bill. And we finally passed it. I'm really thrilled about it.
As I worked in New York City EMS and I've worn that coat, and God bless you, because that coat is rough. That's a hard
heavy.
one. That ain't easy.
It's heavy.
Yeah, it's a heavy coat.
It's fire resistant.
Yes,
So
yes.
even when it's really hot out, it's not that hot because there's something in it that sort of keeps it cool for
Keep it
fires.
cool for fires, absolutely.
Wow.
But it's a heavy coat.
Wow.
Yeah, that ain't light.
Well, you have hung out with us for past the time that we thought you would.
Yes,
so
we
thank you,
we
Congresswoman
greatly
Carolyn
appreciate it.
Maloney.
Greatly appreciate it.
Is
Well,
there
let's
anything?
Get together again soon.
Yeah,
Thank you so
you
much.
are a friend to the show. We are saying that today. You will be a friend to 1NYCHA.
Absolutely.
Whenever you want to come on and just, update us, you don't have to spend an hour, of course, but if you want some updates and you want some time just to, let our viewership know, which is just not exclusive to NYCHA, we're citywide and we're a little bit of, I would say we're a little global, right?
Yeah,
Throughout the country looks at our show. So just contact me, you're my friend. So you or Adrian can reach out and and we will bring you on. We could Zoom you in and, you could give us a quick updates if you want. And if you ever want to come back on the show, you're welcome to come on the show as well.
Thank you, Saundrea.
Yes.
That's very kind of you.
Any closing
And
remarks?
thank you, Rock Logic. Thank you.
Yes.
Rock Logic.
Thank you. You said my name. I won't butter me inside now.
He
Thank
knows
you.
the Congresswoman.
Oh, well, no.
Any
It is
closing
great.
remarks?
It is great.
Let's
Anything
work
you wanna-
together.
Yes.
Yes,
We'll
yes.
do this.
Absolutely.
Stronger together,
Yes.
work together.
That's right.
That's a one night show about.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you.
Congress-
So we're gonna transition to the special part of the show here.
We're going to transition.
Yeah.
I'm going to punch out and then I'm going to punch back in. So I'm
Okay.
just going to transition real quick
Yeah, okay.
All right.
into that. But I got to tell you.
She jumped
wow,
off, right?
that
Yeah.
was-
She jumped off there. Yeah. It was good.
That
All
was
right.
powerful, people.
Yeah.
Oh,
Time to lift off.
listen, man,
You know
How-
Congresswoman. She go. That's how she get out the room.
I like that.
When we in our meeting,
Yeah.
it's like somebody might be saying, "Gone, boom."
Yeah,
They
she
gone.
like Batwoman.
Yeah.
She just threw down a pillow and was like, poof.
You good.
You
A
know
lot
what
of
I'm saying?
information though. Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
good. It was personal.
That was a
and
great show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you produced
Lift
a
off.
doozy today.
Lift off.
Let's lift off.
One night to one people.
One night to one people, y'all.
All right.
All right.
All right.